Well, thank you, Rebecca, for the invite for a second year, even though it's actually the third year, because then COVID happened and then the world like just pretty much shut down. But I'm very excited to be here in 2021, which has gone by fast, but very excited here to share a little bit of my story with you guys. And very excited also to just inspire women around the world and everywhere. And I hope you can identify with my story because this is my personal journey and happy to share it here with you today. So I want to talk about one quote that has resonated with me recently more. I just discovered reading this book, Ikigai, which is this Japanese community and that is telling you secrets about living a longer life by having a purposeful meaning that guides every action that you have. And I love this quote that says, everything can attitude in any given set of circumstances to choose one's own way. And this is just powerful for me. And the reason why it's powerful is nobody can take control of your attitude. Your attitude is only you, and you are the person who decides how do you face challenge, how do you face life, and how do you keep going with things that you can control or not. And attitude comes also with mindset. So attitude is the start of a mindset that you start building as you keep going in life. Like an attitude and then success. And by success, I mean, what is success for you? It doesn't mean that it's the same definition of success for me than for Rebecca or for you. So attitude is the beginning of your mindset. If you get your attitude right or in the best possible way that works for you, it's getting you in the right path for your own success. And I want to be very bold at that, your own success in your own journey. Because we cannot be talking about the journey for one person or the other should be similar or is it the same. It's just like you share same experiences and learnings, but it's your own journey and your own definition of success. And with that, a way of thinking determines like the way you act, the way you look at life, your behavior. And that mindset leads to beliefs which turn into actions. And that's how we show up in life. And that's how we show up to our workplace, to our life, with our friends, with our family, with everything that comes in our life. So it's important that you work on your mindset that starts with your attitude. But also, I'm not gonna lie, then things happen. And that challenge your attitude, that challenge our mindset, that breaks the way we think things. And we did have a big change in like every circumstance that any human could have living in the current years with COVID. COVID happened and just like the world turned side down. Like it's just like, what are we doing? Where are we going? What is this going on? How long? It's been almost 2 years and we're still trying to adjust to what hit the world and change the way we were living and change the way we were thinking and put on jeopardy all attitude and mindset that we might have in general. So I do want to share my story because last time I was here, it was right before the pandemic. And I was sharing with Philippe, and it's just crazy how I was coming here very excited and we were just like having a great time in the event in 2020. And then a month after, it was just like the world shut down completely. And with that, a lot of the things changed. Even what I was sharing with you, it's just like I was taking in retrospective what I shared in the past time, and I'll share more in advance a little bit of that. But COVID changed, and today is COVID. Tomorrow might be, who knows? Or it's not COVID, it's just the circumstances, a set of circumstances and challenges that are going your way that might be very different to another. But your attitude and your mindset gets challenged on those circumstances that you're not used. Because guess what? That brings uncertainty. And any human being under uncertainty, it's just like it's facing challenges that you don't know where to go, how to achieve, how to go forward, and how to move on things that you cannot control. And I want to share my story because when COVID happened, and all the world shut down and all the circumstances changed, and mine as well. And I want to share my story and my journey after COVID and during COVID that I hope can inspire you, because it put under fire my mindset and my attitude. And I like to share a little bit. This is just my pictures of what I call my village. Last time I was here, I spoke about the importance of having your own village. And by village, I mean that people, that system, support system that keeps you grounded, that keeps you on earth, that keeps you being true to yourself and who you are, that will bring clarity to you when you're going the wrong path, or they will be cheering with you when you're going the right way. And I remember I learned this from actually Michelle Obama on a conference where she was being asked, like, hey, how do you go over being the first lady of one of the most powerful country in the world that stay true to you? And she's like, I encourage you to find your village. And village can come in different ways. In that collage, you will see my family, which I'm so proud of it, and it makes me the person that I am. That's where my value and foundation of who I am was pretty much built. And even though we're not together right now, I feel closer to them every day because they are like just the best thing that ever happened to me. I have my friends, people that have become that family that you choose, and family that has become around the world my support system in every place that I have moved for the first time being by myself. And I encourage you to find your village and ensure you nurture your village, because that's the people that whenever that set of circumstances challenge your life, will keep your mindset and your attitude fresh and strong to keep going despite of the things that you cannot control. So this was me in January 31st, which we had this happy hour about exit. I was so pumped. I was like, oh my God, for the first time I'm invited, I'm being a speaker, all these amazing women sharing their stories. And if I could tell you the story of how I landed in this invitation, it's just crazy. It's just like I was having a lunch with a good friend of mine in one restaurant here in Dallas. And then Philippe's and Rebecca, a family member, was there, and we start talking. It was like, oh, I heard you speak Spanish. I was going to the Dominican Republic and all that stuff. Like, we are having an event, and maybe you could be one of the, invite you to one of, understand the event and see how it goes. So we start talking. We were going to get through a company that I was working back in the days, and see if we can partner, support Sarah. At the end, I got invited to be a speaker, and little they know that one of the things I've always wanted to do is just share a story and be in front of people and trying to inspire as much as I can. So that was my first opportunity to be a speaker, and I was just impressed by the amount of support and a new village that came to my life through that event. One of the main speakers was Mirari Simeon, that she has become now one of my mentors and a person that I truly and dearly care about, and I know she does that for me. And then we start building, and then Rebecca, which she always has this amazing energy, and I just feel so happy and identified with. And that event was just something great for me. I love sharing story, hearing the story of other women and men sharing how they got into the business, how they keep it up and stuff, and it was great. And I remember the specific day of the conference. That morning I had one of the hardest meetings in my work, that I was just coming defeated. I was on my way driving to the event. I was defeated. I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the worst, this is not gonna work, blah, 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 blah. And I came here, how do I sit up and in front of all these people trying to inspire with a story where I am already defeated? And I tried to change and shift my mindset just with the intention of I'm here for a reason, I have a purpose here, let's keep it rolling, I have a great story, and that set of circumstances or that situation didn't define the reason why I was here. And I was trying to keep that to myself, and I called, again, my village, and it was you're gonna get it, go for it. I had my little village supporting me in that event, And it went great that here I am, a second time invited again, and I'm very happy. But then June 4th, you won't believe what happened that day to me. Those pictures, it's June 4th at 7:50 a.m. I was on my way driving to my job, my office. I had a couple meetings with my boss, with my team, some projects to tackle down. I was just pumped. And on top of that, that day, I booked a solo trip to Denver, Colorado, which was going to be my first time there. And I was super excited, pumped. Like, it was just great because it was a couple of stressful months because we were shifting a business of casual dining restaurants that with COVID, this was June, remember, in March where everything went and shut down, like we were just adjusting the business, going to working from home, to the Zoom calls, to the Teams, to everything remotely, to being 13 hours sitting on a desk or a computer trying to figure it out. How can we deliver food, being a restaurant or a brand that was mostly known by the experience inside the restaurant? So it was like crazy times, but that day I was super pumped and I was happy because of my trip, very excited. This is gonna be great, blah, blah, blah. I went there to the office, had my meeting with my team, grade some things, and then I will say probably 10 a.m. because that was when my one-on-one with my boss was. And the worst thing that could imagine happened to me. I was let go that day, June 4th at 10 a.m. For the first time in my professional career, I was being let go for a set of circumstances that I didn't know. What a big challenge for me. I'm not gonna lie. That attitude and the mindset went downhill. Like, I was like, what the heck is going on here? Like, how is this happening to me? I've been working tireless, and all the things that get into your mind, trying to change your attitude, your way of thinking, your behavior. And hear me on this. It's okay. It's okay to have all those feelings of being defeated, being rejected, being like, why is this happening to me? I'm not good enough. Or why is this? Blaming, like, just, I cannot explain the amount of feelings and thoughts that went through my head that morning of June 4. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to cancel my trip later today. Who's gonna feed my dog? I won't have an income. I'm in the US by myself. It's like what I am going to do. Like, that uncertainty that I was speaking at the beginning was just hitting my world right there in a way that I didn't know, because it's not that you face a challenge that, oh, I've been in a similar challenge before. Never ever happened to me. And I remember the same conference where Michelle Obama say, like, build your village. That was one of my key takeaways. One of the CEOs of the company that was a speaker, he shared his story about being let go as well. And he was saying that I don't wish you, but I wish you that you can go through an experience like that, because it puts under challenge everything that you have to think of. And I was like, dude, this is not funny. I don't know why you were wishing this. I just like, I hate this experience. I cried so hard that morning. Like, that day, I was just driving back and I really didn't know what to do. But guess what I did? I started calling my village, crying, just venting, just letting it go and sharing what I was. And I'm thankful for every single call I did that day to reinforce and build me up again. Therefore, I didn't change my trip to Denver. I went that night to the Denver, Colorado. And funny thing is, one of the directors of the company was on the same flight as I was. He lives in Denver, and he was meeting with his wife. And when he saw me at the gate, he just like, oh my God, Ali, I just heard the news. We don't understand. And he gave me a hug. Please, can you come? My wife and I want to cook for you and just have. And I was like feeling love again, that thing, because you feel rejected when you go through an experience like that. And feeling the love again, it's just one of the best things that can happen to you. So if you're going through something like that, or you have someone going through that, just make sure you're there for that person and encourage them and bring them to earth and like remind them their value and stuff. So that was like just shocking. I cried the entire trip with him, like the 2 or 3 hours that the flight was lasting. And then he was like, I wait you tomorrow, blah, blah. The next day, I was at the Flatirons. I was like, guess what? Yes, I have no job, but I'm here in Denver for the first time. I might not be in life in 3 days, but here I am in Denver, one of my bucket list plays in the US that I wanted to do. Let's get this thing going. I will have time to get worried about what's coming for my life. Let me embrace the moment that I was so excited for and that other set of circumstances that was not going away because I was still with no job. But let me enjoy and think. I did so much thinking in that trip. I called so many people on that trip. I reassessed my life in so many ways. And don't get me wrong, that was June. I got a new job until October. And those months were ups and downs, like life, ups and downs. You have some great days, you have some not so many good days. But what I learned through the process is you have to embrace those things, but never, never, ever change the mindset that you were born for. Like, don't change the attitude that makes you so unique, so different, and that will help you to find your own way and your own success, which might be different for each one. Like, I guess, again, it's everyone has a certain way to face challenges and to face things and to look at things. And my way, this is what I needed. I needed my village to support me. I needed myself to remind that a job does not define me. We are in a Women of Business summit, but I can tell you, your job does not define you. What defines you is who you are, what's the attitude, and who you bring on board to build up as a person, despite what success and growth mean for that person. So I will just reinforce that to you. A job does not define you. A title does not define you. It's who you are and what you bring to the world in a purposeful way. It's what really defines who you are. And I will encourage you, and I'm going to close my time with this, is it's all about perspective. It's all about what's the lens you're putting to face things. What's the lens where the things you are looking towards that. What's your goal? What feeds your soul? What feeds your life? What you want to do? And I'm still in the journey. I'm not there yet, but I know I have a path. And while I find that path or that ultimate purpose that I have, I just want to embrace the journey and enjoy the moment with whatever things that happen. I learned from that experience. Trust me, it's sometimes rejection is redirection. And if you start looking at that way, you will find new opportunities that unlock. I'm now in a company that I cannot tell you how much I felt value again since the process of interview. And it was just because I show up differently as well. Through that process of July, August, September, I had several interviews, hard, because being unemployed during the pandemic and going through interviews in a pandemic where there were so many talent and so many great people out there looking for the same job as you, you get challenged. And I remember I was showing to interviews and all my questions were about like, oh my God, but are you gonna reduce personnel? Like how stable is the role? What are you thinking? And I was showing up in a way that was already putting in front of me a defeated attitude and like, do I want this person to be hired or not? And then I remember the interview at Yum, the company I work for right now. And I show up to that interview. I already had landed a job by then, but I was like, let me hear, because this was the second time that the company was reaching out. So they reach out. That first interview was one of the first interviews, best first interviews I've ever had. And that led into several of other interviews. And now I landed in that company for almost a year, leading a region that I love, which is Latin America, getting to learn a new region like Iberia with Spain and Portugal, selling pizzas. I mean, how can that be fun to be selling pizzas around the world with Pizza Hut? And I cannot be more thankful of that set of circumstances that challenged the way I was looking at a job, the way I was looking at myself, and the way I was trying to face something that does not define me. So with that, I just want to close with one more thought for you, and it's just like, don't let circumstances define you. Don't let what's happening in the world defines you. Being proactive means you shape circumstances, and they do not shape you. So like some of the quotes I have seen, like if life gives you lemons, make lemonade or make a margarita, but try to make the best of it. Embrace and be kind to you, and take your time to heal, and take the time to embrace the challenge, because it's not always like just rose color for everything. But attitude, I can guarantee, can shape the way your circumstances hitting you in a better or a harder way. And thank you for that. That's my story.
Thank you, Alejandra. I think if life gives me lemons, I'm now going to make margaritas. I think that's the best piece of advice I've heard today. So later today at my house, we'll be making margaritas. Thank you for that. So we're going to jump into some questions from our audience. Again, we've got lots of time for questions, so if you haven't had a chance to write your question in the chat, go ahead now. This one is from Donna. Who inspires you and why?
My family inspires me. I share my foundations of who I am and my set of values was with my family, and I cannot say how much that group, that little village I have, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sister-in-law, and my niece, and obviously my dog, gets me up every day. I remember where I come from, how they been there for me every time, how much they have faced to get where I am, like in different ways. But it's just that people that keeps you grounded. Like every set of circumstances, happy or not so happy, I always turn to them. And I am, if I can get as this close as the family that my parents built, the families that my brothers are building with their wives and their kids, that's what I want to find that for me. And I want to just make sure that I stay true to who I am, and just embrace whatever the circumstances come around life. So I will say family is probably my biggest inspiration to keep it going and do the best of I can.
How relatable is that? Hands up, you can put it in the chat if your family is your why, your reason for getting up in the morning, and the reason for pushing forward and doing the best that you can every single day. Adding to that, remember that you are also part of your family, so you should be your own why. Who's more important than yourself? You don't look after yourself, you can't look after your family. Another question from the audience, Laura says, we have seen a lot about staffing issues for restaurants. How are you tackling that?
Like, it's a live event, so we're having some technical issues. Can you say the question again, please?
I certainly can. So, we have seen a lot about staffing issues for restaurants. How are you, and obviously Pizza Hut and Yum Brands, handling?
So, I guess we have to just embrace, and I was talking to Philippe before, is COVID has changed everything, the way we think, the way we see life, the way the world is working, the workplace is working. But again, I think we just have to stay true to, when you have a clear purpose, a clear direction as a company, as a person, you just have to stick to that truth, but be flexible enough to understand that things might need to change, reassess, build up on each other, be open to bring new people into the table or consideration to address anything that you might want to address, just as a business challenge or to building a team in general. So I will say, just make sure you stay true, watching the change. The world now is changing like in a heartbeat. It's changing by the day. Same as the set of values and talent and skills that you need to bring to the table to make your business successful, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. It's important to remember who you are, what you do as the world changes. It's great to adapt, but you shouldn't change your own personal core values. Next question from Julie. Is the food industry bouncing back?
The industry is like, and it's just so funny. We were talking about, like, I'm in the Pizza Hut delivery business. Like, when you think about delivery, back in the days, pizza was the top of your mind on that. But I was telling, it's now challenging because now it's not just when you think about delivery or getting food at home. Now you have just like this million and gazillion options to get at your place, and in the moment, in a click of a, like, yes, I want to bring it to home, or yes, I wanted to go and pick it up at the restaurant. So the competitive landscape has changed dramatically. And with that, the expectations of the consumers. But there's something that we have learned. We're finding new occasions, new opportunities that when you think it was just like pizza, it might be just a Friday night thing or a Sunday night while you watch the football. Pizza can be on every day, believe it or not. And we're building some healthy options as well for those that want the daily basis. But it's amazing how, yes, brands that were not able to adjust to the new set of circumstances have gone away, but some other brands resurge and just like bringing new options and new alternatives to address. So I do believe the industry is bouncing back. I do believe we're getting to places where we didn't know before. Like now you have literally options to eat anytime. Before you have to go to the restaurant or trying to find. Like now you can get it in your house and not leave the comfort of being at home. But I do believe it's bouncing back. We're seeing it in our business, and there's nothing better than coming back to the great times where we were before.
I couldn't agree more. And talking about the changes and the healthy options that you just mentioned, I just learned that Pizza Hut does a gluten-free deep dish pizza. So if you're looking for gluten-free pizza, go to Pizza Hut. Question from Bob. What is your advice for Latin women striving for leadership roles?
That's a great question, Rebecca. I say embrace yourself. As Hispanic women, I've always been afraid of showing my true self just because we're passionate, we're go, and guess what? Embrace that. That brings something different to the table. But just make sure you adjust your audience because, and this is not just for Latin women, it's for anyone. Like you have to understand your audience, where you are. You cannot just be like the way you are all the time. Like you have to shape, I'm not saying change it. You have to shape the way you show up to your audience. And I think leadership in general, and as Hispanic women, I think we tend to look at other markets or roles where normally are not suited for females that can I make it? And this is not even me saying, like there's research saying that women take less chances on positions that they're more qualified for than men or other people from other regions, etc. So I will say, don't hold yourself. Like believe in who you are, embrace who you are, acknowledge who you are and what you bring to the table, and make sure when you're asking for a leadership position, you bring what is that makes you unique to have a seat at that table of leadership. But you cannot get what you don't ask. So all positions that I have been able to be sit at a leadership, I've raised my hand. Like the opportunity was there. It was served to me and to anyone else. I raised my hand and I bring to the table whatever I was bringing as a talent. And here I am with some of great opportunities in leadership that helps you to enable and unlock opportunities for other people like you or other people in general that want to keep growing within an organization.
It's funny, actually, Alejandra, that you bring that up, because when I think of you, I think of someone who has, not let anything stop you. I think of the fact that you have applied to leadership roles that maybe someone who was less confident and and a bit more timid wouldn't have gone for. And so sometimes when I'm thinking, oh, I can't do that, I remember Alejandra and I think, Alejandra did it and I can do it too. So congratulations on everything that you've achieved. And Lisa has a question. How do you help create a good corporate culture?
Again, and I might sound repetitive, but it's really that. It's be true to yourself. Like when you have the freedom to show up yourself the way you are without being afraid of being judged, that also encourages people to show the best way of themselves, so of who they are. And if you have to provide feedback, just be kind. I always say, be tough with the problem and soft with the person. So address the circumstance or the situation or the behavior in a tough way, but be soft with the person. You're talking to a person. And every person has a journey. You don't know what that person was going through that morning in their house, or that just came out of the hallway or a meeting that you were not there and you didn't know. But just be kind and be true to yourself. Like that will help a corporate culture to feel safe to be you. And there's nothing better than be yourself, because that's when you really unlock and you bring those unique set of skills and talents that you have. But I think you become an enabler, but you also are an active part of developing a culture. Because yes, some companies provide you with a great framework to build that culture, but it's not just about the company can do everything for that, but it's every individual that makes a difference on building that culture. So you can have a great framework, but if I'm showing with the wrong attitude, the culture might be there, but I'm not embracing that and just doing that cascade effect that a culture has in general, not just in a corporate world, but in life in general. So I will say two things: stay true to yourself and make sure you're always kind to the person that can bring that best version of themselves as well.
I love that. And how do you think, or like, who controls your attitude? How do you adjust your attitude?
So the thing is, with my recent experience, my attitude was like, I take a break. Like I'm on meetings, and if there's something that is bothering me or challenging or everything, sometimes you don't have to answer it. Take your time, take a break, have a minute and breathe. I tend to be like, as a good energy that I recognize in myself, I can be very explosive sometimes and just like very emotional. And I like to take my time, or I'm not ready to answer that, and like breathe and then come back with something. And that's an ongoing journey. Like sometimes if you explode, you explode. Just make sure you acknowledge that and you keep going. But also don't be afraid of taking the time or not jumping into the answer immediately or react to everything. Like sometimes it's good to take a minute and a couple minutes or 5 minutes or a day to come back with an answer of something that you've been asked for, or to react to a plan or something. So I will say, just make sure you are understanding what the challenge or what the circumstances that is facing is shaping your attitude, because you should have your attitude already defined, or your mindset or who you are defined. If there's something that is changing that way, take a minute to take a break and ensure that you're addressing that the way you think it should be. And if not, to acknowledge, learn, and move forward.